Hey friends, it's a very exciting time of the year. It's late June here in southern Indiana, and that means it's time to go looking for chanterelle mushrooms. Chanterelles are a fairly bountiful and very delicious wild edible mushroom that come out this time of year, and there are 4 different kinds. Hopefully we can find all 4 and maybe find a few other mushroom surprises along the way. So for our first mushroom, let's start small. So this is the small chanterelle, Chanterelle minor, very tiny mushroom. Can be yellow to orangish. It is an edible mushroom like the other chanterelles. It's probably not worth trying to collect these, as it would take hundreds to make even a small meal out of. It is an indicator of an area that would support other larger chanterelles, so keep an eye out for this little tiny one. All right, let's keep looking for more. Okay, I should probably mention a chanterelle mushroom that grows in the eastern United States that we will not be finding today. And maybe it's appropriate that we won't be seeing this mushroom because this is the ghost chanterelle, Chanterelle phasmatis, new to science since 2013, and it is distinguished by its white fertile surface and stem, hence the ghost name. But I've never found that one, but I hope to someday, somewhere. Okay, let's move on to our next chanterelle mushroom, and this time let's go dark, black in fact. This mushroom is sometimes called the black chanterelle, though technically it is not a chanterelle at all, but it is in the family Chanterelleaceae, but it's not in the genus Chanterelles, like all the true chanterelles. But it is found in this similar type of areas in the mixed woods in association with oaks and beech trees in mossy areas and kind of exposed ground type areas. I am talking, of course, about the black trumpet mushroom. There's hundreds of them right down here. So here are our black trumpets up close. This is technically the Eastern North American black trumpet, Chanterelle phalanx. There is another one, the horn of plenty, Chanterelle cornucopioides, but that one is found more in Europe, and it will have a white spore print, whereas this one will have kind of an orangish spore print. Yep. And like the chanterelles, the black trumpets are a sought after edible mushroom. There's not a whole lot to them, but they do come out in big enough numbers so you can collect quite a few and make a pretty nice meal out of them. They do have an excellent flavor. So nutty and delicious. Kind of hard to see. Unless you're looking for it, you could walk right by a whole bunch of these because they blend into the leaf litter so well. For example, can you even see any of these black trumpet mushrooms before I pick them? They're very hard to make out, but all you have to do is just find one. Is where there is one, there will likely be many, and that applies to all the chanterelle mushrooms as well. All right, let's see what the next thing is. One of the many rewards of mushroom hunting is once you've explored your surroundings and know where the mushrooms are, you can come back sometime to those same spots and find the mushrooms again and again every year at the same time of year. This applies to the Mycorrhizal fungi, the mushrooms that spring out of the soil and live in association with tree roots. Does not apply to the wood decomposers. But yes, chanterelles are mycorrhizal fungi. So once you find a patch, you can come back to that patch potentially every year for the rest of your life and find those mushrooms. Oh, here's something up here. Let's check this out. These are not chanterelles. These are chicken of the woods. It's a beautiful mushroom, delicious edible mushroom, but these are just a little too far gone. Starting to turn brown. We got some brown spots. We got some slug damage. They're kind of thin, cardboardy, and dried out. You really want them when they're just emerging. They're brightly colored and they're thick and meaty and aren't quite frilling at the edge. Let's keep looking for chanterelles. I hope we can make a smooth transition to a new type of chanterelle. The smooth chanterelle. Here's a nice group. They often come in groups. It'll be just kind of like a banana or yellowish orange color, and they can sometimes cover the hillsides. It's the most prevalent, most common of the chanterelles here in southern Indiana, and a very delicious mushroom. Let's pull this one up and take a closer look at it. So this is the smooth chanterelle, and it is named as such because it has a smooth, fertile surface. As they age, they will get more of a ridgy kind of false gill striations or false gills, but when they emerge, they will be very smooth, and more smooth than most chanterelles overall. And it can have kind of a tomentose top, slightly hairy or fuzzy, these kind of frilly edges, and they can often be kind of fused and amorphous. Down in a hole. Can I even reach that one? Wow. Other than the pouring of the sweat and the dealing with the parasites, I do find hunting for chanterelles very enjoyable and relaxing. Unlike hunting for morels, which can often be unfruitful and sometimes even stressful. There's so many of these, and they're out for at least a month, probably more like 6 weeks every summer, and it's just kind of fun to walk around and collect a whole basket full of these. It's not that hard, and it's very satisfying. So now, before we move on to our next chanterelle mushroom, we should probably have a word of warning. Chanterelle mushroom hunting is not without its hazards. There's a couple other poisonous lookalikes to this mushroom that you need to keep an eye out for. Those being the jack-o'-lantern mushroom and the false chanterelle. But when faint of heart, tear it apart. The chanterelle mushroom will always be white on the inside. The jack-o'-lantern and the false chanterelle will be a kind of a lightish yellow or light orange color on the inside. Also, if you can't tell, give it a smell. Chanterelles have a pleasantly fruity, apricot-y aroma. The false chanterelle and the jack-o'-lantern mushroom will just have kind of a mushroomy or non-distinct smell, not a fruity smell. Also, the false chanterelle and the jack-o'-lantern mushroom are true gilled mushroom. Their gills are blade-like structures that are a separate structure from the mushroom cap that you can rub off with your finger, unlike the false gills of the chanterelle, which are kind of rubbery and part of the mushroom. So those are a few things to keep in mind to keep you safe when you're out there hunting for chanterelle mushrooms. We've gone small, we've gone dark, we've gone smooth. Now let's go big, real big. Whoa. What is that? Huh, what is that? So our next mushroom is a mushroom I found here in late July last year, and it is a doozy. Wow. Oh my gosh. Look at this thing. Oh, that's amazing. Is this all one mushroom? This is insane. What in the world? This is the largest chanterelle by far that I've ever seen in my life. It's as big as my head. It's so far outside the parameters and descriptions of all the chanterelle mushrooms that I really am not sure what it is. My speculation is that it could be the Midwestern yellow chanterelle, Chanterellus flavus, kind of a new one. There's not many observations on iNaturalist, and not a whole lot written about the Midwestern yellow. Is this a monstrosity, a freak of nature, an anomaly? I'm not sure what to make of it. All right, well, there's that. Let's move on to the next thing. Hey, why not do yourself a favor? Go ahead and brush off your mushroom before you put it in the basket. Cut off that dirty butt end. It'll keep your basket and your other mushrooms clean. It'll save you a little work when you get home. And when you get home, It is good to thoroughly go over each mushroom, cut off any brown parts, and dig out any insects or grit that might be there. You can dunk them in a bowl of water and rinse them out under the sink, but you don't want to keep them in water for very long. You want to lay them out and dry them on a towel after that. But it'd be a shame to go through all the trouble to collect the mushrooms and clean them and make a nice meal and then bite down into some grit or some insect parts. Chanterelles are kind of a tough mushroom to clean, but yeah, that's all the stuff you don't want in your food. For our next type of chanterelle mushroom, let's head to the mountains. The Appalachian mountains in particular. This is Chanterelle Appalachiensis, distinguished by its brown spot in the middle. Tends to be a little bit smaller than the smooth chanterelles here, and it can also be a bit more leggy, has a longer, thinner type of stem, but also edible. They're just not as much to them, and you don't really find as many of these. Usually you find a chanterelle, you can just kind of just stop and look around and you might find some more. For example, I think I see some more right up here. Yeah, it looks like one of them got eaten. All right, well, there's probably some more. I don't see them right away here. Oh yeah, another edible, delicious chanterelle mushroom. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, Mushroom Journeys, what's the best way to preserve my chanterelle harvest? Well, the rule of thumb with wild mushrooms is put them in a paper bag in your refrigerator. They can last up to 3 days. But let's be honest, after the 3rd day, those mushrooms aren't looking so hot. If you want to store them for longer or later use, you could flash freeze them on a pan in your freezer and then throw them in a plastic bag, preferably a vacuum sealed bag. Those will last a couple weeks. Any longer than that, you're gonna have to use a different method. You could pickle the mushrooms. I'm not a huge mushroom pickle fan. There's not a lot of people clamoring for mushroom pickles that I've noticed, but you could pickle the chanterelles. You probably want to use a smaller, thicker button young chanterelles for that. You could also dehydrate them, slice them up, put them in a food dehydrator, or I've even ground them into a mushroom powder. But the chanterelles don't really reconstitute that well. The mushroom powder didn't have much flavor or add much body to my meal, so can't really recommend that. The best way, in my opinion, to preserve the chanterelle is to saute it and add some oil and butter and throw it in a vacuum bag in the freezer. That way they can last for months. You just want to dry saute them, cook all the water out. Once the water is, almost all the way cooked out, add the oil, cook the mushrooms through, and throw them in a bag, throw them in the freezer. That's the best way to preserve your chanterelles. Good question. Thanks for thinking that. Let's keep moving. Okay, we've gone small, we've gone dark, we've gone smooth, we've gone big, we've gone to the mountains. Now, let's go into the red for the red chanterelle. It's a beautiful mushroom. These are just coming out here. These aren't much bigger than the Cantharellus minor, the small chanterelle, but they are more substantial. People do collect these to eat them. They'll usually not get much bigger than like a silver dollar on top and be just about 2 inches high. But they do grow in huge clusters. You can see how many are popping up here. And these do come back every year right in this spot. But yeah, just a beautiful mushroom. You can see those false gills in there. In my opinion, these don't taste quite as good as the smooth chanterelle, but they're just a lovely mushroom. If you find a couple, they'd make a great garnish, or if you find them in quantity, you can make a very eye-popping meal out of these. But yeah, a delightful mushroom that you can find in late June or early July. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you next time on Mushroom Journeys.